Part 7. After My Death, The Villain Blackened Again. Author, Ben Gongwei Pang. Chapter 61. Sister Sue is very kind. Sister Sue is really a good person. Aaron and Yanj drank 2 bottles of red wine, and her blushing eyes were a little confused. She looked at Yanj with gratitude and admiration. Respect from the heart, Sister Sue, walk slowly. Yanji patted her shoulder and said distressed, okay, don't give it away, continue to eat, see you are thin, eat more meat and grow your body. The two were like old friends who hadn't seen each other for a long time. After eating together, they parted reluctantly, and this scene made Chi Yuan really dazzle. This kind of thing, do ordinary women just start tearing directly? In the nightclub, the main room caught Xiaosan's ball. Even he wanted to be angry for this woman. Why did this woman still love each other with her rivals? After leaving the hotel, Chi Yuan was blown by the cold wind, and his head was awake. He asked the song, is the consumption of this restaurant high? Yanj thought for a while, not too high, our table is more than 10,000. Chi Yuan's previous salary was more than 1,000 a month. If he wanted to get more, he had to put down a lot of push wine and commission. This more than 10,000 meals had subverted his perception. However, more than 10,000 should be nothing to Aaron. After all, she could climb on the bed of a big man like Wang Xiaming, and Wang Xiaming just leaked a little in her fingers was enough for her to splurge. But those 2 bottles of red wine are a bit expensive, Yanj added. 2 bottles of red wine are about 300,000. Chi Yuan. He hesitated, or asked, that Irene, how much does she earn a month? She doesn't have a high salary, around 4,000, but she will get more rewards at the end of the year. No more year-end awards can fill this hole. Chi Yuan said, she should ask Wang Xiaming for money. Well, Yanj said, this is a test of her taunting. Chi Yuan reminded the woman, you and Wang Xiaming have not yet divorced, and his money is also your money. Singing with a smile, let him take the money to invite us to dinner is better than him taking the money to please the woman, and although this man likes to take the initiative to please the woman, they don't want the woman to speak to them and ask for money. Our sister and brother are good, it's so refreshing to eat a good meal and make them feel blocked. Chi Yuan was speechless. Suddenly I feel that the woman's routine is very deep, full of scheming, it is exactly the legendary black-hearted dumpling. Wang Xiaming's phone number soon reached the Yanj. The voice was questioned. Although his voice was good, he couldn't hold back his anger. How did you take Irene to Green's restaurant? She is a little girl with a monthly salary. How much is it? You say you can just ask her to eat, how can you do the thing to leave her alone after dinner? If you have a grudge against me, say, why embarrass her, a little girl? Distressed? Distressed, you go to the hospital, what do you call me, or should I dial 120 for you? Before Wang Xiaming finished speaking, the phone was hung up by Yanj, and he hadn't even asked Yanj and that little white face. He glared at the phone, gritted his teeth, and simply called his assistant again to arrange the flight for him to return. Damn, he's going to go back and catch the rape. Wang Xiaming was so angry that he rushed back to the capital overnight, trying to catch a trap. However, at the door of the apartment complex where Yanj was located, he hesitated again. What if he really sees Su Yan with that little white face? After My Death, The Villain Blackened Again. Author, Ben Gongwei Pang. Chapter 62. Divorced. Divorce now, asking him to share his general assets to make Su Yan and Xiao Balian chic, this is completely impossible. Not to mention that divorce would hurt his reputation. Therefore, even if he knew that there was already a green leaf on his head, he could only pretend to know nothing. He felt he needed some evidence to prepare for his future. Wang Xiaming didn't even knock on the door, and left silently. He was upset, and Irene vented her inner pain. Yang not only found a tutor for Qi Yuan, but also enrolled him in several classes. Taekwondo class, piano class, foreign language class. Various interests took turns. Although this guy is 18, Yan Ji plans his life to 8 years old. When the chicken sees that she is either writing a script or studying the psychology of adolescence, she asks melancholy, "You don't really want to raise a powerful person as a son?" Yeah, this time, Yan Ji must use the mother's warmth to affect this guy. The chicken cub heard this response, his eyes were twitching. "He is not your own son, you slap him every day if he shows his arms or legs, otherwise he will show the mermaid line, this is what is hooking you. You are blind, you." The words were very silent, "You still pay attention to these? Beiwawa's flesh is so obvious." "I don't pay attention to it, my eyes are almost blinded. The most annoying hen is the hairless creature." Without waiting for the song to respond, the cub said, "As I said, you should continue to slap with him this time. The last time it may have been too few times before he turned black. This is 18 years old. It's quite possible to smash him until he is 80 years old, and dripping water through a stone iron pestle to grind a needle, he can definitely detect the situation." Grind the iron pestle into a needle? Yanj was ashamed for 80 years. It was terrible. She was afraid that her land would also be plowed. After all, this is a human body and very fragile. Last time, he couldn't break through the so ingrained love between men and women. "You still want to change him in a long stream of water? It is impossible," Yanj said. "This time, he is in a good position, and it is serious to use affection to affect him." The chicken cub loved the mentally impaired expression and said, "But he has for you. He is now a vulgar person who enters the plane. It is normal for a man to have a desire, which I ignored. It seems that he must be encouraged to make more girlfriends. A flowing girlfriend can best set off the only constant affection." The chicken was completely speechless, and he went on to watch his romance idol drama. He always felt that he chose this piece of wood to get into the water. Yan Ji paid special attention to Qi Yuan for the whole day because of the chicken, and thought that the little guy might be physically energetic and have nowhere to vent, so he was foolishly leaking energy to her. It's like the animal subconsciously wants to open the screen to court a man. This kind of thing should be sparse and not blocked. As a result, Yan Ji's affection for Qi Yuan immediately turned into substance. She gave Qi Yuan a lot of pocket money and bought him a lot of high-end clothes. If a man wants to attract a woman, it must be the same as a peacock opening a screen. All aspects must be brightened to attract women. Qi Yuan's personality is a bit introverted, but he looks good, wears a few beautiful clothes, and has a very melancholic temperament. Even if he is introverted and can't hook up with women, there must be women who can't stand his temptation. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Weipang. Chapter 63. Yan Ji feels that raising a baby is also a broken heart. After all, this baby directly skipped the childhood period and reached a rebellious and intensely adolescent. When she was careless, she might make the point between the two people shallow to almost no affection is taken to crooked road. So she still has to think 12 minutes, always observe him, study him, and make the next plan accordingly. Qi Yuan feels that this woman may be closing him recently. After waiting so long for the woman's next move, thinking of this woman finally showing her true colors, although Qi Yuan felt ironic, it was more an expectation that he did not understand. But he waited and waited, but he couldn't get the woman's new move. His heart was panicking, like a colored knife hanging above him, making him extremely complicated whenever he looked at her. So when did she want to sleep with him? Could it be that this was the first time she was looking for Xiaobalian, so shy? So, he still has to take the initiative? Wang Xiaoming didn't come to Yanj again. He wanted to sign an agreement with Yang when the movie was successfully started and finished. Since she didn't want to divorce, he did as she wished. Two people could play each other, but this game must not be allowed to endanger their marriage relationship. Wang Xiaoming thought very well. But before the movie was turned on, the video of the bed exercise between him and his assistant suddenly spread on the internet. Wang Xiaoming's team immediately denied that the actor in the video was Wang Xiaoming. He even issued a statement saying that who would dare to frame Wang Xiaoming would protect his reputation with legal weapons. I can't bear that everyone's eyes are clear. I compared the moles and scars on the male lead in the video with Wang Xiaoming. The male lead in the 12-point positive video is Wang Xiaoming. Of course, everyone also dug out the female pig's feet, Wang Xiaoming's assistant. In the small video, it is strange that the male lead is not Wang Xiaoming. In the era of the developed internet, this matter cannot be covered. Wang Xiaoming was very fortunate. Fortunately, he didn't let the lawyer give Su Yan the drafted agreement. Otherwise, the relationship between the two people would be stiff, and Su Yan might hit him. He called Su Yan the first time, intending to explain the matter. Of course, he also wanted to appease Su Yan. There was a fire in the front yard and he didn't want a fire in the backyard. The call didn't get through. The place where he lived was surrounded by reporters and he couldn't go out to find Su Yan. He couldn't make a phone call to Su Yan, and he could only persuade Su Yan. He was really afraid that Su Yan would step in. He even called a director who knew Su Yan and was respected by Su Yan to be a peace talker there. Of course, he did not forget to send Su Yan, who collected his personal paparazzi, and various intimate photos of Qi Yuan. If Su Yan dared to go down the rocks, he has a way to make her famous. What terrible is what? Not only did Yang fall into ruin, she also directly appealed to the court to divorce Wang Xiaoming. She is a screenwriter, she is beautiful, so she a lot of fans, but compared to Wang Xiaoming's fans who have watched him so far, the gap is not that big. Therefore, Yang's vote was very strong. Her public account not only issued a complaint of divorce with Wang Xiaoming, but also later learned everything about the host and Wang Xiaoming and all the misery in Beijing at the beginning. The form was written out. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Weipang. Chapter 64. At that time, my feet were all frostbite. He held my feet in his arms and covered them, and one night was a night. He looked at me while scratching his and said that if we were rich in the future, we would never eat again. I would buy you what you want. Small words, if I can really have a day of success, then I will be the princess in my life, and you have suffered so much with me, as long as I have a day, I will let you no longer be wronged in this life suffer. Unfortunately, it was me who took off first, and he was unbalanced. He drank every day. I enlightened him daily and helped him with the resources I had. We don't have to eat steamed buns, we don't have to nest in the basement, let alone sleep in the bed and wake up at night. I thought he and I were a lifetime, but unfortunately, my life is too long, the scenery on the road is too good. He paused and stopped. I can understand. This autobiographical article became popular on Weibo immediately after being posted on the internet, with numerous reposted comments, and even a reporter was calling Yang. Qi Yuan also saw it. He was a pinhole camera with Yang. But it was a long time ago. He guessed that Yang had got the video, but she never exposed the video. He thought she would take the video to talk to Wang Xiaoming about the conditions. Wang Xiaoming's video door, he was sure she made it. He watched over and over again the words that Yang wrote on Weibo and met Wang Xiaoming. Wang Xiaoming wasn't in front of him, and he didn't ask. He never expected that there would be such a deep dispute between her and Wang Xiaoming. She likes Wang Xiaoming. She eats a steamed bun together and lives a difficult life together. She must have liked Wang Xiaoming so much. After the bell rang, the classmates around laughed and made a mess, but he stared down at the mobile phone without moving. She used to like Wang Xiaoming so much, but now, do you still like it now? I tried to call her several times, but I was holding my cell phone tightly, but I couldn't dial out. After all, it was time for school. The cell phone rang suddenly. It was her phone call. Aun, don't go home today. The reporter is going to close up the community. Doesn't the school dormitory also have your bed? You can live there for a night. Okay. Is carry money still there? You just gave me money yesterday. Okay, then. I'll hang up first. Remember to call me if you have any questions. You. He hurried to ask her how, but the phone was already beeping. He stared at the phone, his lips pressed tightly, and he didn't move for a moment. The students coming and going all around were discussing Wang Xiaoming. Many girls are supporting Wang Xiaoming, expressing indignation at Yan Ji's downfall. Qi Yuan disdains to argue with these people, but her heart is not worth her. Because Wang Xiaoming is a famous star, everyone has such a high tolerance for him. If Wang Xiaoming was an ordinary man, he would have been scolded to death. Qi Yuan thought he could go home soon, and he couldn't wait to appear in front of her. He felt that she must be sad to cut off the past, and he wanted to comfort her. But the next day, Yan Ji entrusted his friend to Qi Yuan, and led him to a house near the school. Xiao Su said, "This is your house, and you will live here in the future. After my death, the villain blackened again." Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 65. The house is very large. The bedroom is a floor-to-ceiling window with a balcony. Besides, the room is also equipped with a gym and a projection room. Such a luxurious house, Qi Yuan never dreamed that he could live in it. This is the house that hasn't come down yet, but it's all your name. This is the contract. Xiao Su is busy during this time. She may have little time to take care of you. You can also call me if you have any problems. Write down my phone number. Qi Yuan was in a state of soul travel throughout the journey. She arranged him in this place. Did she not let him go home? Isn't he enough to see him, so don't want him anymore? Qi Yuan never called Yanj again. But every day he was writing news about her and Wang Xiaoming. Watch her every move in silence. She signed another TV drama to sign a TV series and will start soon. Not only that, her original film lead was Wang Xiaoming, but because of this incident, the crew changed the lead. Everyone argued that it was Wang Xiaoming who asked to cancel the contract in order to avoid suspicion. After all, in such a movie, Wang Xiaoming's coffee can be played in friendship, in order to help the movie gather popularity. In order to pay attention to the scripts of Yanj during this time, Qi Yuan has changed from a layman in the entertainment industry to an expert. He has seen the director and investors of this movie. The grade of this movie is significantly higher than that of Wang Xiaoming. Wang Xiaoming's sailing army took rhythm in major forums, reversed black and white, and it was really rampant. Angered by Qi Yuan, he registered himself with a number of turns to battle those naval forces. Even his onlookers were so angry, she was definitely, and was particularly angry. He wanted to see her, but didn't dare to bother her at this time. He could only brush Weibo silently. On the weekend, I went to visit the second old Su family on her behalf. Elder Su's family probably really wanted a son, or she might have said something to Elder in private, which made them particularly good and enthusiastic about him, and also set aside a room exclusively for him. At first he shouted shyly about their parents, then gradually he followed her and shouted Mom and Dad. Elder Sujia also likes to use Weibo to watch the various developments of his daughter. Every TV drama movie produced by his daughter, they will watch many times. When Qi Yuan went, there was still a TV show produced by Su Yan on the TV, and the second old man was sitting on the sofa and scanning Weibo. He put the vegetables and fruits he bought on the table, and after sitting together on the sofa for a while, he got up and dragged the floor, choke some blocked drain pipes in the kitchen, and clean the fish he bought. After that, stewed the dish. During the period, Sue's mother wanted him to leave the kitchen, but he supported Sue's mother on the sofa and sat down again. He smiled and stabbed, "Every time my parents are busy, and my parents must try me today." Cooking. In the living room, Sue's mother was talking with Yanj. He leaned slightly and listened to her voice on the phone. Sue's mother exaggerated him on the phone, and she kept laughing on the phone. "Un's cooking it's delicious, he's very good, you parents have a good mouth." He faintly listened to her voice, the corner of his mouth bent unknowingly, all smiles. He didn't think he was so busy in the kitchen at all, but he had an unspeakable pride in his heart. See, he is not a little white face who can only spend her money, he can do a lot of things. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 66. After dinner, the song and video of Su Mu on the phone. Su Mu took the phone into the kitchen and faced the screen towards Chi Yun. In the video, Chi Yun's floral apron surrounding Sue's mother is brushing the bowl. Yan Ji at the end of the video was wearing glasses and wearing the favorite orchid flower home clothes sitting at the desk. She helped her glasses and smiled at Chi Yun. "In the past, I used to cook dishes for my parents. Now I have a younger brother. It's great to finally get rid of this pot." He was rendered by her smile, and always smiled, "I will be here in the future, and everything that my sister does not want to do will be left to me." The mighty man was so well behaved by himself, and his words were very fulfilling. After hanging the video, he sighed with the chicken, "If only this little fart can be so well behaved and docile." Chicken, everyone says that with a daughter-in-law forgetting his mother, if you don't break into his heart with your body, he will probably forget it in the future. Yanj, you don't understand this. Women are like clothes, but their affection is a lifetime. You still don't understand human nature. Who doesn't understand? Anyway, it still has a heart. This wood doesn't even have a heart. What kind of human nature is it? The chick looked at the speech like a mental retard. You will regret it. Yanj is not sure about this. After using the method once, she would never use it again. She believes in her professionalism. The divorce between Yanj and Wang Xiaoming went smoothly. The handle on Wang Xiaoming in her hand is really not only the video door, but also the fraudulent donation door and all kinds of things about his tax evasion and tax evasion. One after another, it can really turn Wang Xiaoming into a scum. At first Wang Xiaoming wanted to resist, to talk with Yanj, and even to use Yanj's scandal to settle his scandal. But the longer he dragged on, the more scandals about him. Wang Xiaoming understood that this woman was ruthless and really heartless. Therefore, although Yanj gave a high-profile divorce complaint against Wang Xiaoming, it was really time for divorce, and both were very low-key. Although Wang Xiaoming is not a net person, he is still not much worse. Wang Xiaoming said it was false that he was not distressed. He accumulated these assets by himself. He promised poor financial management. He was unconcerned about these things. He changed the assets of two people into such a huge existence. He originally had several properties under his name, but to his surprise, Su Yan found all these assets. Although he still had some assets in his hands, the thought of his hard-earned money was mostly divided by Su Yan's innocence, and his heart was very upset. But he couldn't have an attack. The two had negotiated a few times before the divorce, and each time he was in a bad situation. He couldn't understand after the divorce. Why was such a gentle and considerate woman at the time become such a present, a woman who spends money to raise a small white face, but also does nothing for money? The moment he picked up his divorce book, Wang Xiaoming said to Yanj, "Small words, you say that I changed, but who among us changes heart? You and I know best, but I really did not expect you to become like this now, but even so, I still want to bless you. I hope you and your little white face can always be loving. Thank you for your blessings, Yan Ji said with a smile. But I'm sorry, for people like you, I don't even want to bless you. She waved the divorce book in her hands to Wang Xiaoming. I didn't expect your financial management skills to be so powerful, thank you. Wang Xiaoming heard her praise and thankfulness, and a blood sip almost didn't spit out in the throat. Before he responded, Yanj turned and left quickly. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 67. Yan Ji never thought that it would be so easy to let Wang Xiaoming lose. Compared with the loss of his life by the host, Wang Xiaoming now only loses some money. She did not give up the purpose of suppressing Wang Xiaoming. She couldn't do it herself, so she sold the black historical data of Wang Xiaoming to her rivals who had a competitive relationship with Wang Xiaoming. Finally, the divorce was finally settled, and Yan Ji finally took the time to meet Qi Yuan. I haven't seen him for a while. This guy seems to have grown a lot. Before, she could touch his head easily and casually, but now she reached out her hand and realized that it was difficult to reach his head. Seems to have realized the woman's intentions, Qi Yuan bowed her head slightly, waiting patiently for her to kill her. He felt that he hadn't seen her for more than half a year. She was always busy. Every time she called, she hurried a few words. Even if she met occasionally, she went back to the Su family to visit the second family member. He missed the time he spent with her under the roof. So without waiting for the words to speak, he looked at her anxiously and asked, "Sister, can I move back to live?" Yan Ji grabbed Qi Yuan's hair and resigned his hands reluctantly, and when Yan asked him with a little confusion, "Move back? Don't you like the new house?" "I want to live with my sister so that I can take care of her." Singing and laughing, quite a bit sad that my son finally felt sorry for his mother. "You don't think the house is small? Of course, I'm very happy." Yan Ji handed the menu to Qi Yuan, and said with arrogance, "Whatever you want to eat, please order. Today, my sister treats you." Qi Yuan knows that this woman likes light meals, so she ordered a few light foods and waited for the waiter to leave. Then she asked Yanj, "Sister, how is the situation between you and Wang Xiaoming?" "It's all solved," Yanj said, "don't worry about me, but you. I heard someone say you're in love." Qi Yuan, who was drinking water, was coughed by Yan Ji's words. He shook his head in haste, "Nothing." He was anxious to sing the song, and promised in general, "Sister, you believe me, there is really no such thing, it is those little girls who have a bad brain, don't study hard, and always follow me like change/state." Yan Ji rarely saw Qi Yuan's disorientation, and he laughed cheerfully. "I also heard that you all call it a new generation of school grass. Calm down, there is nothing wrong with early love. Your age is suitable for early love." Qi Yuan, whose face was reddish slightly, saw the response of Yan's song. His hurried but awkward heart gradually calmed down. Does she seem to care nothing? Don't she think he betrayed her by doing this? After all, he was regarded as her private pet. Although he did not early love, but this kind of thing passed into her ears, shouldn't she have questioned him with anger? Her reaction was obviously wrong. You can rest assured that no matter what you do, your sister supports you. But you must have a spectrum in your heart, but you can't make a baby girl a big belly. Some things are actually best after you get married. I can't stand the depth of love, you also have to take measures. After all, you may just be happy, but the girl is ruined for a lifetime. Her soothing voice rang in his ear. He listened and listened. Not only did he not feel solid, but he became more helpless. Does she really want to be his brother? After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 68. Qi Yuan interrupted the song and said softly, "Sister, I have no intention of falling in love early, I'm not interested in these. Yan Ji found the dissatisfaction in Qi Yuan's expression, reflected for a moment, and felt that Qi Yuan had experienced so many trials and hardships, let him go to an early love. Fearing that the teenager would be rebellious because of her words, Yan Ji immediately discouraged and said, "Sister just said, it's better if you don't fall in love early, so you have to worry about your good cabbage every day." This remarkably pleased Qi Yuan, and the sadness on his face was replaced by a suddenly realized smile. "Sister, you are testing me. How can this be tentative?" Obviously her deepest worry. However, Yanj did not delve any further. Sister and brother rejoicing at a meal. Qi Yuansheng was afraid that Yanj would change his mind, and he moved back to the apartment in the same night. Returning to the long-lost small room, Qi Yuan held his quilt for a long time and couldn't fall asleep. After turning over several times, he simply got up and went outside the room. Yanj was still typing in front of the computer, and divorce gave Wang Xiaoming countless black spots and sewage, but strangely, there were more third-party companies that had submitted to her. She has been busy coding recently, and she intends to take advantage of this momentum to open a studio. Qi Yuan walked behind her silently. She wanted to see what she was writing, but as soon as she got close, she asked her, "Why haven't you slept? Is there something wrong?" She turned her head slightly and looked at him with a smile. "Still something." With a kind face, it was like an elder was concerned about the physical and mental health of the younger generation. Seeing her smile, Qi Yuan felt that she suddenly became agitated. She was obviously not as big as him, and she always regarded him as a child. Does he look so naive? "I want to be a star." Qi Yuan whispered these words, realizing that he had even expressed his thoughts during this period of time, and he looked up carefully and watched the expression of Yanj. Star, Yan Ji raised this guy for so long, and finally saw that he was a childlike dream, so although he was surprised, but also very relieved, he almost said without any hesitation, "Okay." She got up and took Qi Yuan's hand and sat on the sofa together. "Do you want to be a star or an actor? What is your position on yourself? Are you going to brush your face or acting?" A series of questions made Qi Yuan speechless for a moment. In fact, at this moment, his brain was full of his hands held by women. Her hands were small and slender, and her hands were a little bit cold, but he was pulled by her, and a flash of fire rose in his heart, making him panic. The first such physical contact between the two of them turned out to be just holding hands. The night he knew her, he knew that she would definitely have a physical relationship with him. However, until now, after so long, the only physical relationship was just a handle. When his eyes fell on her hand, when he had the courage to backhand to hold her hand, she let go of it the next moment, turned to find the remote control and turned on the TV. Seeing Qi Yuan not answering for a long time, Yan Ji turned his head and asked him, "How? Haven't you thought about it?" Qi Yuan resisted the urge to pound her heart, tilted her head slightly, and got closer to her. Husky asked gently, "Is there a difference between an actor and a star?" The ending is slightly stretched, like an invisible hook trying to stir people's hearts. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gongwei Pang. Chapter 69. Yanj, is it the voice-changing period recently? Would you like to go to the hospital to see? The voice-changing period is not suitable for entertaining circles and will become your dark history. Qi Yuan. He looked at the words of concern, but he couldn't say a word when he opened his mouth. But immediately, he coughed, then got up and poured a glass of boiling water for himself and Yanj, and after drinking the water, he explained, "The period of voice change has passed, and the dormitory may be dry and itchy throat recently." Without waiting for the song to question, He calmly repeated the question just now, what is the difference between an actor and a star? Yan Ji looked at Chi Yuan's posture, it didn't seem to be a temporary rise, so she explained due diligence, actors rely on acting skills, stars depend on appearance, actors can become stars, but stars cannot become actors, one is strength pi, one is idol. Where is Wang Xiaoming, which one is he? He is a acting school, Yanj said, it looks good, but also acting school. Once it is boiled in the entertainment industry, it is also very fragrant. The old bacon that has exploded recently is not the reason. So speaking of acting genres, even if they are not hot when they are young, they may be violent when they are old. Idols are easy to ignite, but they are also easy to get angry. I want to be an idol. When Chi Yuan registered a small brush forum for lighting women some time ago, the most annoying thing is that he is not an influential star himself. If he can have a little influence, he can be bright and upright. Pretty woman and return to Wang Xiaoming. He needs a way to become famous as soon as possible. As long as he becomes an influential star, he does not mind whether it is a power or acting school. Yan Ji suddenly reached out and pinched Chi Yuan's chin. She leaned slightly, leaning her face closer to Chi Yuan's face, and scanned Chi Yuan's features in all directions. The woman's fingers were so thin, pinching his chin at this moment, like a tall queen examining her male pet. Chi Yuan's face was still calm, but his ears were red as if they were being cooked. His throat rolled, his body was tight and he didn't dare to move, only his heart beat faster. Is this what she wants to tell him? Isn't she going to say sleep with her for one night next? Her sweet smell fluttered on his face, and at this moment he was looking forward to it. Your eyes are slender, your eyes are raised, your nose is tall, and your lips are small. You look handsome in the distance, and you don't have a short board when you look close. It's a bit of a face to be an idol star. Sure enough, she is a darling of heaven, and she looks perfect in every way. Yan Ji is really envious of envy. However, she thought that such a darling was a gentle and well-behaved younger brother, and she felt quite fulfilled. She sighed a few times, let go of Chi Yuan's chin, and patted Chi Yuan's shoulder. Idol is also very hard. Your face is fine, but can you stand the kind of hardship? Chi Yuan was asked by her words, and I didn't respond. The redness on his ears faded, his lips moved, but he said nothing. What she said was so different from what he imagined. She pinched his chin and looked at him with a look of expression, just to see if his face was suitable for the entertainment industry. She boasted that he looked good, but she had a serious face on her face, clearly not having the slightest intention to commit crimes on his face. Does she really look good in her eyes? Obviously she couldn't even seduce. Did she never think about going to sleep with him? After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 70. Don't worry. Yan Ji saw Chi Yuan frightened by her words, and immediately comforted her softly. You want to be an idol, do NT care if you do NT want to be an idol, it does NT matter, anyway, there is a sister anytime, it will take care of you, okay? She turned her words and said solemnly, but one thing is zero tolerance in me. The circle is very confusing. You can't learn bad things. If you have the same thing, I won't care anymore. Is you? She hit him, rubbed his head, and gave him a sweet date. A UN has always been sensible, and this kind of thing must not have been done. Sister is assured of you, knowing what you will do measure. Her expression was so kind, as if an elder was talking to her favorite junior. Chi Yuan's heart was a bit erratic, and he was a little uncomfortable. This uncomfortableness spread from his heart to his internal organs, making him suddenly feel that there was little oxygen in the air and it was difficult to breathe. He finally nodded under her longing-awaited gaze, and said nicely, well. Yanj smiled and rubbed his head again, it's time to grow up early when you go to bed early. Watching Chi Yuan enter the bedroom, Yan Ji got up and stretched, before sitting back at the computer desk. But this time, she was checking the resources and connections in her hands. She is a screenwriter, and it is difficult to insert a male 2 male 3 into the crew, but it is not difficult to insert a male 4 male 5. But when idols are not that easy, she feels that she urgently needs to open a studio. In this way, she will have more power to speak and more easily support her people. 2 years later. For 2 years, Yan's studio is in full swing, and Chi Yuan, who has been in the entertainment industry from school, has recently become popular. He is famous for his role as a male drama series, almost as a male contractor. Each of his male characters made the audience feel so distressed that he wanted to cry for him. Therefore, as soon as he opened Weibo, he was brushed by numerous fans. The screen distresses you, calls you. Today is his birthday. After ending the fan meeting, Chi Yuan drove to the apartment overnight, took out the key to open the door, and as soon as he looked up, he saw the woman lying at the desk and sleeping. On the table was a small but exquisite fruitcake. On the cake stood a majestic Superman. Since he was with her, on every birthday, the cake is full of Superman. What's so good about Superman? She thought he would like it, but what he liked was actually her who prepared the cake for him. This time she didn't call him all day. He thought she had forgotten his birthday, but did not expect that she even prepared a cake for him. Looking down at the phone time, it was already 2 o'clock in the morning, and her computer screen was still on, so she must have just slept for a long time. Walking lightly to the computer, Chi Yuan stooped slightly and looked at her without blinking. At first he thought that all she did to him was to sleep with him. He had been waiting for this day to come, but waited, and then, from the beginning of his vigilance to the end of his eyes, he became expecting her to sleep with him. She was too reserved and too embarrassed. Sometimes he even wanted to push her sleep him progress. But she wanted to raise him as a brother. She didn't mean to sleep at all. She really wanted to treat him as a brother. This conclusion made him even despair.